Hello, welcome to the channel. Thanks for joining me. So I watched the Premier League final last night. It was an amazing match, especially for a neutral like me. As you can see behind, I've come over all inspired and got the board up on the wall. So join me and see how I got on. So here it is then, the Blue Beauty, the unicorn, the big name in darts. I've got to say, I can't even remember how old this is. I've got to have had it 20 years, if not more, I reckon. It's actually really nice. It's beautifully made, proper decent wall cabinet, and in many respects it's great. You know, it's got the aluminium trims, the nice chrome plates on there, the barn doors open out really nicely, and you know, you've got your scoreboards on the side. You've got enough to hold 4 sets of darts, you know, 2 on each side. You've got your 4-way sort of clamp system for the board on there. And actually, it's really nice. There's nothing wrong with it in that respect. Except the problem is it's kind of, I guess you could call it operator error. I've obviously given this some kind of hammering in the past because the board is worn away quite heavily in this area here. That tends to suggest 2 things. I don't remember somebody else playing it, but maybe I had Eric Bristow or somebody in for the week. Or more than likely, I expect I had it set up on the stairs at about the right height and an ocky distance of about 2'6". So either way, it's pretty mullered. You can see that the board really has taken a pasting up here. The 520s and the ones, loads of 26s must have happened there, but there's just no wear at all. Obviously never managed the treble 19, but look at the colour difference between, say, the 3 and the 20. You know, the bristles all just gone soft and faded, and it just needs replacing, to be honest. Now, the thing is with this, I should really have rotated it at the time, you know, years ago, bit by bit. Didn't realise. I mean, it's obvious, isn't it? Anybody that knows anything about darts would have gone, well, you just spin the board and, you know, you move the number ring round and away you go. But to be honest, I didn't know any of that at the time, and more for me. But there you go. Also, just a quick note on this board as well, it is a vintage old board, but the wire's taken a pasting. A lot of the wires got sunk into the actual sisal or the bristle or whatever it is there. There's so many staples around the centre as well. It's amazing that anybody ever managed to get a 25.
They're so thick, aren't they?
Yeah, they really are. And it's, you know, that's what you played. I mean, you know, it didn't stop the greats playing on these all those years ago. But I think for us, we're going to be lucky if we can hit the board at all, to be honest, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's just going to be a case of seeing what we can do. On that note, the thing is, as I say, although this was a really nice cabinet, there really is no clearance. I mean, you can see over the years, I've gone off the bottom there, gone over the top into the aluminium frame, and I dread to think what happened to the wall at the time, or the staircase more likely. So there's no way on earth at our very, very amateur stage that we're ever going to be able to get away with ½ an inch of clearance. You know, we'd be lucky if we can hit the wall, let alone the board. So what we are going to have to do is definitely build ourselves a bigger surround to start with. And the other thing is, like I said, although this is really nice and there's nothing wrong with it, it just doesn't fit with the decor of the room. And it might sound obvious given that we're putting a dartboard on the wall, but if we just screw this up, it's just going to look like we've put a dartboard on the wall, and that's not really what we wanted. We wanted something that was kind of a bit funky or a bit different or a bit
More of a feature as well.
Yeah, a bit like a feature room.
Yeah.
So we can, you know, we don't want to just chuck this up as it is. So I think the first step is going to be to take this out. It only needs this 4 little, there you go, 4 little feet. Move them out of the way, and the board's away. Job done. So let's get this out then. Let's go and measure it up, get a bracket on it. Let's get it on the wall, and yeah, just get ready to start throwing some arrows, I think.
See how we get on.
Let's go. So here's the back of the board, having just prepped it. Of course, this one did live in the dartboard cabinet before, so it was mounted sort of externally on those 4 sort of plastic hanger brackets, as it were. But because we're putting it on the wall, a couple of factors to sort of think about really. One is that the surround, we know how we're going to do that, I think, and we're going to use something that's basically 2 inches or about 50 millimeters thick. This is about 35 mil, I think, the board. So I've just put some rubber feet on there for now, just to stand it off the wall, keep it sort of flat and transfer any weight or noise to the wall. And the total depth should now be about 50 mil, so it'll be about the same as the surround and should give us a flush finish when we're done. Now the bracket isn't it's not ideal, gotta be honest, but it is what it is. Essentially, we are at some point going to have to get a new board. I know that this one's already old and worn out, and we had this before we ever thought about rotating it, or didn't even know that you could rotate boards all those sort of decades ago or whatever. So part of it's taken a real hammering, to be honest, and we are looking to replace the board, and that will come with its own kind of mounting system and what have you. But for now, this is the bracket that I had in the shed, and it's got a sort of centre mounted screw hole there, and then it's got keyholes for hangers. Now I've only needed one screw to hang it, but it has meant with the design of this that I've had to sort of counter hang it, as it were, so countersink a hole, make a hole in the back of the board there to allow the head of the screw to go in. Normally it's the other way around. You get a mounting bracket that mounts onto the wall, and then you put a screw into the back of the board and then just drop the board onto the mounting bracket. But because this is the only brackets in the system I've got to hand at the moment, we're doing something sort of temporary with this, really. So the bracket itself here, as I say, that's a central hole, and what I've done is I've just basically drilled a slightly bigger hole underneath this bracket for the head of the screw to locate into, so that when we mount the screw into the wall, this will hang on it like a picture frame kind of thing. So that's the plan with that. The only thing is, of course, then is that the mounting hole isn't central. So although it should be exactly 5'8" or sort of 68 inches from the floor to the centre of the ball, we've got to allow an extra, I don't know, what's that, 1.25 inches just there from the centre of this board to what will be the centre of the screw in its final finished resting position. So we've got to allow for that and make our screw in the wall slightly higher than the centre of the board. So that's that. Incidentally, these tram lines here, these are for finding the centre of the board if you wanted to. If you have a circle generally and you want to find the centre of it, most dartboards have a little indent in the back anyway, so that there'll be a tiny little sort of just a dent, really, like a little witness mark for the centre of the centre of the board where you'd mount your screw. If you don't have one, essentially quite a simple way of doing it. What you do is you draw a couple of chords, i.e. lines that don't pass through the centre but do connect at two parts of the board. So this one just runs from across here, and for example you could pick up another one over there. Then all you do is measure the centre of that line and then draw a right angle to it, and if you did that for two of the lines, so to find the centre of that one as well and scribe a line where the two lines intersect, will actually give you the centre of the circle. Now I did this, you can see, just put a couple of lines through here, and it's quite funny really. I hadn't realised at the time there was a hole in the middle. It was a tiny little dent, and as I lined up the holes and traced the pen through, I felt it go tick into the middle and realised that there was a tiny hole there after all. So good news that I found the centre, and also good news that the theory works, that you can find the middle otherwise if you haven't already got a marking point for it. As I say, it's a slightly moot point because this one is so worn out really that you know, we're going to have to replace it anyway, but for now it allows us to get something on the wall instead of a picture of our less favourite politicians or whoever it might be to throw darts at on the wall. You know, take your pick, insert name here and all of that. So at least we've got something we can throw some darts at just for a bit of fun, get us going until we can get up and running a bit more. Anyway, that's enough of the geometry lessons. Let's get this something on the wall, shall we? Okay, so here we are at the board then. So if you remember, we've got the bracket here, but of course that's the bull. So from the floor to the centre is 5'8" exactly, so 60 inches. But the only thing with that is this bracket, as I said just now, is slightly away because we've got to get the keyhole. So from the centre of the bull to the keyhole is around about 33 millimetres. So what we're going to do is go and mark it up on the wall, and I'll probably just run my 60" there as a reference witness mark, and then add me 33 mil onto the top. That'll give us the fixing point for the screw. So welcome to the most boring bit of video ever in the history of the world. But basically what I've just done is marked a 5'8" bullseye, kind of just a little mark in the wall there, and added my 31mm to the centre of the wall here. Now the screw, I've had to use one that's kind of about 3" so it's deep enough to go through right into the wall and leave some proud to hang the board on, but also not too big a head that you know, that we can't actually get it into that keyhole slot on the back of the bracket. So there you go. All that remains now is to slide it on. Now, unfortunately, Mrs. Dartnoobs has had to step out, so I can't film me putting it on the wall, which would have been massively exciting, I'm sure. So I'll just cut to when it's hopefully hanging all right. So there she is then on the wall, all happy days. And I've got to say, it's proper solid. It really is. Those feet have really done the job. If I sort of press on there, it feels okay. I'm pretty happy with that, I've got to be honest. Now you can put a plumb line, and should put a plumb line down obviously to make sure that it is level. For now I've literally just taken a great big spirit level and run it through the halfway point, through the 20 and the 3 and the ball, and made sure that it is indeed level, which it is. So that's close enough, certainly for my talents for a minute. So or lack thereof, I should say. So that's that, and yeah, we're making progress. Oh, and finally I forgot to say, we do need to just check the height. Bit late now, there's a hole in the wall, but it should be 68 inches to the bullseye, so we'll just check that now, and there it is, dead center. So obviously if I just lift that up off the floor, wiggle it around, you can see it's off the floor now. And if I just bring that in, there she is, 68 inches right to the heart of the ball. So she's level enough, the right height. It needs replacing desperately, bless it. It's already worn out. There's no point rotating it now, especially as I'd forgotten to do it before I put that bracket on the back. So yeah, onwards and upwards. So next time I think we'll have a look at getting some sort of surround on it. So there we go then. There's the board up on the wall. It's plumb, it's the right height. Yes, it's seen better days and desperately needs replacing, but for now at least there's something to throw some darts at. Well, almost anyway. So the next job for us is to put a surround up. So join us next time, hopefully in the next couple of days, and we'll go and get something up to protect that wall and protect it certainly against my terrible throw. So thank you very much for watching. Spread the word, because it's an early journey for us, and it'd be great to have your support, and we'll see you soon. All the best for now. Bye bye.